Good morning. Walking out to the gate right now to open things up so we can head to the office. As you can see behind me here, a lot of our snow's gone. The driveway is all melted off. We had a lot of snow. Probably, I don't know, maybe 20 inches of snow or something like that here, and maybe 16, 18, somewhere in that range. But a good amount of snow, and we actually had to spend the better part of a day clearing our lane out, getting everything all plowed off to the sides. And I had, you can see, I'll just go around slowly here, pan around slowly. Sunlight's in my eyes. You can see the big piles of snow here where I plowed, like this, back here, going back in there. And you have to plow back in so you have more room throughout the winter to plow in there. So I got it all done and everything. Then it warmed up into the 40s and even I think into the low 50s, and rained for almost 2 days straight. And there went the snow. So sorry about the wind noise if you're getting any of that. But yeah, we had a lot of rain, huge amount of rain, and it melted most of the snow, and now it's cold again. So weird weather. You never have 2 years that are identical when you live in Maine. All the years we've been here, this will be our 11th year or something coming up, and never had 2 winters that were the same. So this little update on what's going on. If you could please pray for us about something else. We get all of our water, since we live off grid. I shouldn't say all, but we get most of our water at a spring locally here. I've done a video, did a real quick video about the Godhead issue. Out, standing right beside the spring, and that spring every year it dries up about August or September, somewhere in there, maybe October, and then it comes back in November every year. This year it's still not back, even with all the rain we got. We went over yesterday. We'll probably swing by today just to see if it's back flowing again, but it's still dried up, which is a real problem for us. And we're having to use snow melt and all kinds of fun things when you live off grid. And we have a big storage tank that we store the water in, the spring water. We're through that. We literally have less than 10 gallons of water left. And we just have to as the snow's melting, we can collect the melting snow off the roofs of our place back here. So it gets a little stressful. But okay, update over. Please pray that the spring comes back for us. We've been praying very fervently, and it's still not back, so the Lord's putting us through some kind of a test or challenge or something to help us learn. But getting back to the subject here, Israel's war on Syria. I've been keeping an eye on this as much as possible. Again, went to the office yesterday. We had a power outage for most of the day, so there went another day of work. But this whole thing of what's going on in Syria right now. With Assad, he left. He went to Russia, I guess, or something. And I think one of his planes was shot down or something like this. And but these Syrian rebels, they took over, and they now have control of the country of Syria. And they said about the black flag of ISIS is flying there, which is interesting because there's actually a Israel Secret Intelligence Service, ISIS. I'm sure they wouldn't be involved. Understanding military tactics and methodology, you can actually overthrow governments, bring in a military coup, and then you come in and offer the solution. Problem, reaction, solution. Okay? It's a very old military tactic. And I just find it interesting that as Syria is being toppled as a government, as a nation, Israel just happens to be moving their tanks in and their troops in, and then going and attacking their military. And the military is standing down, and whatever, and just letting their bases and everything else get blown up. Interesting timing there. I'm sure that Netanyahu and whatever, that they wouldn't have any kind of a political agenda there, taking over Syria. But being a Bible-believing Christian, I understand that there is the reality of this world, But then there's kind of a deeper reality. What's really going on behind the scenes? You know, you have what's reported to the masses, and then what's reported to the military intelligence world, and then what's really going on spiritually. The three different realities, so to speak. Not trying to define anything there and the definitive guide to spiritual reality or something. No, I'm just saying, as a Bible believer, I understand things that way. What's the spiritual reality there? This thing of Israel taking over Syria. Well, if you read the book of Acts, chapter 11, I think verse 28, it says the disciples were first called Christians in Antioch. Where's Antioch? Syria? Jewish disciples were first called Christians in Syria. Where does our King James Bible trace back to? That would be Syria. It is a Syrian Bible, essentially. The received text goes back to Syria. Your new versions go back to Alexandria, Egypt. Pretty interesting. So, are the Jews kind of telegraphing what they're going to be doing in the future? Again, yes, we are to love the Jewish people. We are to understand that God has a future plan for the true Jews. But I'll get back on that in a minute. But we also have to understand that according to the gospel, they are enemies. They're not our friends. The Jews out there, be they Orthodox or modern or whatever, I'm not talking about Messianic Jews or whatever, those that have accepted Jesus as their Messiah, or Yeshua as their Mashiach, if you want to use the Hebrew. It's fine that they can use that. I only go after English-speaking people that are not Jewish for using Hebrew words. But, been over that before. But, the Jewish people, by and large, do not accept Jesus as their Messiah. And in fact, they view Christianity as a problem. And as I study, as I research more, I didn't understand a lot of things, and I will freely confess that I was ignorant on a couple of issues. And the iron and miry clay of the fifth kingdom mentioned in the book of Daniel, I always kind of was trying to think, well, maybe it's robots and people coming together, transhumanism as they call it. Maybe it's, you know, whatever. They have all these different things, angels and people breeding, and no, it's a lot more simple than that. Miry clay, the only other reference to miry clay in your King James Bible, it's a reference to Israel. They are a mingled people. And again, you have some people that profess to be Jews. They say they are Jews and they are not. They're the synagogue of Satan. And you have some of those people, they're not all Israel, which are of Israel. They're living there, but they're not actually Jewish. They're mingled people. They can't even trace, you know, their lineage back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Then you have some that I believe they can. So, you know, again, it's this very problematic thing of you say things about the Jews. The Jews are all this or the Jews are all that. It's not accurate. There's a lot of difference and variation between Jewish peoples. But on that subject, I've come to understand now from doing some research into this whole thing that there are basically two different lines of thinking among the Jewish people. The religious type Jewish people. Okay, there's a lot of Jews are just, you know, Jews, whatever that means. People that live in Israel, people that, you know, are Jew in their religion, people are Jew in their ethnicity, you know, whatever. But there's two basic lines of reasoning with that mindset. And, you know, we can argue and there's, oh no, there's more. And okay, but just, I'm trying to keep this simple. The one mindset, kind of the modern, more progressive Jew, the Zionist, is that they have to bring in the kingdom so that the Antichrist can show up. Okay, that's the one. The Orthodox or ultra-Orthodox type of Jew is, they think, no, the Messiah has to come first, and then he will go out conquering and to conquer, and he will set up the kingdom. Okay, so now think about that. What are we seeing right now? What's the deal with taking over Syria? Well, that would be the modern Zionist Jew. the Zionist that comes along and says, we have to bring in the kingdom for the Mashiach to come and show up. The Hebrew word for Messiah. Okay, Mashiach, if you don't know. I'm not trying to sound intelligent or anything. I gave up doing that long ago. But, you know, I'm just trying to use their terminology so that if you hear it, you'll say, what is that? You know, just trying to define things. So, what does this attack on Syria have to do with it? Well, I believe it was orchestrated by Israel because their work in Gaza is not going very well. They're getting a lot of pushback. A lot of people are upset. They're saying, hey, this isn't right. Look what you're doing. I mean, you're killing little children, all these other things. And so now they're thinking, okay, what can we do? Because, see, again, they have their prophecies. And there's a prophecy that Donald Trump is going to help to usher in this, you know, the Mashiach will show up when Donald Trump is in. And that he's kind of what, King Cyrus or something like this? Like Cyrus the Great, and he will help to rebuild the temple and all these other prophecies. And, you know, if you study, again, I might bring out a video on that, failed Jewish rabbi prophecies. You know, they try to claim that Jesus failed at his prophecy of one stone shall not be left on another that shall not be thrown down. They say, well, Jesus failed at that because we still have the Wailing Wall over there. Well, the Wailing Wall is not the Temple Mount. Okay, that is Fort Antonia. It has nothing to do with where the original Jewish temple stood. That's in the city of David, not there at the Fort Antonia, where the current Mosque of Omar, Dome of the Rock thing is located. That's not the original place where the Jewish temple was. Again, I have a study on that. But everything to say here that this going out and we're going to basically do the Antichrist bidding. We're going to go out conquering and to conquer because we have this rabbinical prophecy we have a timeline and we have to make this thing happen. There's also with that that Jewish Zionism thing, there's also this very satanic movement which I've talked about, the Noahide system. And I'll be bringing out some more information on that. And these Jews, they think that everybody should be forced, all the Gentiles should be forced to keep the Noahide laws. And one of those Noahide laws is a law against blasphemy. And you're only supposed to use the name of God for certain things and whatever else. And if we would say, as a Christian, Jesus is God, they would consider that blasphemy, which would be punishable by death in their system. And again, you have the Orthodox Jews they would say, well, you know, we're not sure who we should kill yet. We'll wait till the Mashiach comes, the Messiah comes, and then he'll tell us who to put to death. But then you have the Zionist Jews, the radical ones that want to bring in the, you know, New World Order under, you know, the Jewish utopia type of thing. And they would probably say, well, we need to put Christians to death now. And if you remember the whole big thing, again, the fighting between the Iron Romans and the miry clay Jews, this whole thing with Candace Owens saying that Christ is king. And the Jews got all offended and all upset about this. See, there's the contention, there's the fighting. And that's what we're going to see in the future. This contention and this fighting between the Zionist Jews and the Orthodox Jews and Catholics and Protestants, and lots of fighting coming. Not much uniting, but lots of fighting. So, but I see this whole thing, you know, this takedown of Syria, 100% I believe it was Israel that did it. I don't believe for 1 second, oh, it was Islamic guys and whatever and things. Saw an Armenian Christian guy that was over there in Syria, and he said, you know, under the secular government of Assad, he said, we all had freedom. We all had religious freedom. And he said, you know, Muslims and Christians and even, you know, some Jews can live together and get along and just trade with each other and whatever. And they don't have to fight and kill each other. But see, that's not what the Zionistic Jewish forces want. They need to bring in their kingdom for the Antichrist to show up. And what better place to do that Then in Syria, the cradle of Christianity, the birthplace where the Jewish disciples were first called Christians, in Antioch of Syria, where our beloved King James Bible comes from. The Syrian, text, the Syrian Greek text, not the Alexandrian. So I'd like to know your thoughts on this whole thing. I'm not even sure what the most recent updates are. I only had a little bit of time yesterday. The electric came back on. We only had about an hour to be online, so I didn't get a whole lot done. But I did some reading and lots of praying, which is good. But I have a number of sermons, about 5 or 6 sermons right now that I need to do notes for. I'm going to be trying to get to that today. So just said to my wife and son, Luther and I are going to go out for a little walk real quick, do a walk and talk, and then we can get going. So it looks like it should be a nice day. Nice sunny day, cold. Hands are freezing, but that's good. So good for you to be a little bit uncomfortable, in other words, is what I'm saying. So, but please do pray for us on the whole spring issue. We rely on the spring for having good, clean drinking water and be able to cook with it and everything else. And right now it's been a little bit rough for the last month or so. We've been really limping along, trying to make things last. So if you could please pray for that, I would greatly appreciate it. But let me know your thoughts on this whole war in Syria thing. Be real curious to know what you think. So that's going to be it. Thank you for watching, and look forward to some really interesting upcoming sermons.